How's it going, guys? My name is Sean. Welcome to Boundaries Unlimited. Thanks for tuning in today. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I converted my laundry room sink and vanity into a dog shower. Let's go ahead and start with step number one. And also disclaimer, guys, I am no expert. This is the first time I've actually ever done any tile work, any grout work, building any type of plumbing or shower setup, waterproofing membrane, the whole 9 yards. So this is just how I did it, and I actually learned a lot of this just from watching YouTube videos, so I would highly recommend you guys do the same if you plan on doing this project. Also, I reused my hot and cold water lines from the existing sink and also plumbing for the draining as well too. So if you guys already have a sink and vanity within your laundry room, I would say you can replicate this 100%. Now, if you don't already have that and you want to put a dog shower inside your laundry room, you'll need to hire a plumber to come out and go ahead and set you up water lines in the drain. Step number one, the most entertaining step in my opinion, is a demolition stage. So pretty much we just demolished the whole entire sink. We just pulled everything out of the wall, but we were very careful not to damage any of the water lines such as the drain, just because we knew we were gonna be reusing that for the dog shower. Next thing I used was my favorite tool, my handy dandy DeWalt oscillating tool. This is the #1 tool, guys. I highly recommend you stop this video right now and go ahead and just buy it. Okay, I'm not sponsored by DeWalt, but it's a really good tool. So what I did with the DeWalt oscillating tool, I actually cut the drywall with it, and this tool, you can use it for everything. All right, guys, I'll stop talking about it. But yeah, that's what I went and cut the drywall out using the oscillating tool, and then we had a clean slate to work with. Step number two, I ended up building a frame out of 2x4s, and then I ended up cutting a plywood base where the shower pan was gonna sit. And before I cut the cement board to put on the wall, I actually rerouted my water lines and ended up using PEX piping, which is, honestly guys, if you have never worked with PEX tubing before, it's a really good setup. Their tubing is actually pretty flexible, so you can kind of bend it if you really need to a little bit. And I connected it with shark bite connectors, which is super easy to use. You just cut the PEX tubing, and it's like a plastic kind of PVC pipe, and then you're able to just connect it with the shark bite connectors just like that, and it connects and there's no leaks. It's pretty impressive. After I rerouted my water lines, I went ahead and marked up my plywood base and cut the hole for the drain plug. So I went ahead and rerouted my PVC piping where my drain was gonna be sitting. Now, I ended up using the Schluter system for my whole entire waterproofing membrane, the shower pan, the whole 9 yards. So I used their drain setup as well too. And with the Schluter system drain, it actually comes with a template that you can know how big of a hole you need to cut for that drain. So I used a template, cut out the hole in the plywood base. The next step I did was I installed my cement board. Now, cutting the cement board, I would highly recommend you have a cement board blade for your skill saw because it'll make the process much easier. Definitely wear some goggles, face mask, because you're gonna be breathing in a lot of dust. So measure twice, cut once. That's always the general rule of thumb. So I went ahead and installed the cement board, and that way I wouldn't have any moisture related issues by using drywall, which they don't really recommend. And after I put the cement board up, I went ahead, connected the gaps using mesh tape and using Quickset to kind of fill in the little gaps to not allow for water to come through. The next step, there's multiple ways you can do this to set up your shower pan. You can develop your own with concrete, or you can go ahead and buy a pre-built slope tray, and that's what I ended up doing since this was my very first time ever building a shower. I ended up going with the Schluter system just because it was my very first time ever building a shower, and I figured since it was already pre-sloped, it'd be easy to work with. So when I ordered it, I didn't realize it was almost like a styrofoam base. It was like a styrofoam material, which is easy to work with. You can cut it with a box knife, which I ended up doing. But for the dogs, it should be fine. I know people use this for full-on shower setups, but I feel like it might be a little flimsy and squish over time, but apparently it works really well, so I double thumbs up to Schluter for making a good system. But I went ahead and got the slope shower pan from Schluter. I cut it with the box knife. I got the 36 by 36, and that's the smallest size shower pan that they make, so you guys will probably end up doing the same thing if you're replicating this. Mine ended up being like 35 by 35 when I ended up cutting it. And then I also used a Schluter curb, and I did the same thing, just cut it with a box knife. So I installed those two guys on. And then after that, I went ahead and started the waterproofing membrane. And now I use the Schluter Curdy membrane setup. Now, you don't have to use the Schluter system. Schluter is a little bit more expensive, and I would say it's a little bit more tedious than some of the other setups that I have recently saw online. And if I were to do it again, I would probably use a different waterproofing membrane. It was a little expensive using the Schluter waterproofing membrane just because they recommend you use their Quickset to connect their membrane. So their membrane consists of almost like a wallpaper that you have to put Quickset on your cement board, and you just literally put the membrane on, cut it to size how big you need it. They make little corner pieces that you put in all the corners, and they have something called the Curdy tape or Curdy band. It's almost like where you put on all the edges and the creases from like the wall to the base of the shower tray. So it was a little bit more tedious than I would say some of the other waterproofing systems that I've seen online. Some of them actually you just paint on with a brush and it creates like a rubberized waterproofing membrane, which is probably what I would do if I were to redo it again, because one, it'd be cheaper, and I think it'd be more time efficient and less materials overall. But like I said, I went ahead and used their waterproofing membrane because it was my first time, and I wanted to use all Schluter because they say they guarantee it and they will warranty it if you use their whole entire system. After waterproofing, I went ahead and started the tile in the grout process. Now, this is my very first time ever doing any tile work, so I didn't have a tile saw, so that ended up costing me $450 to go and buy a tile saw. Now, if you guys have already done tile work before, then this is perfect. You already have a tile saw, a wet saw, so you'll save a little bit of money. Or if your friends or family have it, I would recommend just borrowing it for just this one project. The first thing we did was we got our first mosaic tile, which we ended up dry fitting first. And when I say dry fit, I'm just meaning that we cut the tile to the size that we needed for the base of the shower. And then after we did that, we went ahead and mixed up the quickset, put the quickset on with the Schluter trowel that we used, and then we just set the tile on there. Now, don't overdo the quickset because there are lines in there, and that's your grout lines, and you want to keep that evened out, spaced out, because that's supposed to be filled up with grout, not quickset. So if it's filled up with quickset, you need to clean it out, which is a very tedious process. Easier to do when it's still wet, but it's still a tedious process. Now, if it dries on you, you almost have to sand it out. But again, you can use the oscillating tool for that. They have a tool for that. Don't overdo the quickset. Look at the recommendations on the quickset bag and figure out how much you need to use. Make sure the tile sticks to it, but doesn't fill in all the grout lines. So after we did that, we went ahead and moved to the side walls. And we used a different type of tile for the side. Now, this is a glass mosaic tile from Italy. I guess it's pretty fancy, I guess you could say. It was the one that we really wanted something colorful for the side, so that's the one we chose. It was a little bit pricier, coming in at like $16 per square foot versus the marble that we used at the base of the shower, and that was only about $8 per square foot from Lowe's. So it was a little bit pricier, so that's gonna add into the total price breakdown, which I will get into later on. But again, we just put quickset on the wall. We already had all the tile dry fit and cut and ready to go. We stuck it on there and we finished up the tiling process. After we ended up tiling, then it's the next step. And ideally, you would do it the next day, is the grouting process. So grout, now we just mix it up just like you do the quickset, similar in consistency and how it looks. Now you're saying, why would I put this nasty grout onto the tile? Well, again, if you already tiled, you'll understand this. You just kind of put it on there with the grout float, and then at that point, you just kind of clean it off with the wet sponges and allow it to dry. And it comes out pretty good. You will want to make sure you get a lot of that off the tile face, just so it doesn't have a whole bunch of haze on the front. And then once you're done with that, after the 24 hours, we came back and used some shop towels and buffed out the tile, and it came out really nice. And after all of that, we ended up installing the last step, which was the faucet. And I don't think I've already mentioned this process. We made sure there was no leaks in the drain and also the water line setup. So you guys want to do that before you do any other steps, I would say, after you reroute your water lines. So we installed the faucet and we were done at that point. Oh, also we did, after that, I went and caulked all the seams. So I know what you guys are thinking right now. How much did this end up costing us? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. I have a breakdown right here. Now, it's not 100% accurate. I would say 90%, 95% accurate. It's an approximation more than anything else. I don't have all the receipts because, as you guys know, when you're doing a project, you go to Lowe's, you forget one thing. It's $20 there, $20 here, $40 there. It adds up, and I don't have all those extra little receipts, but I have all the big stuff though. So the tile, all the material for the tile ended up being $1,200 for the whole project, which I told you guys that the blue tile was much more expensive than the marble base that we got from Lowe's. So you can always do it cheaper, use cheaper tile. So the waterproofing membrane, everything from the slope pan to the drain to the curb to the Curdy band, Schluter Curdy membrane, that ended up costing me $450. Now, if we're gonna talk about the quickset, and then also the grout, that ended up costing me $350, which comes out to a total of, drumroll please, $2,000. Now, again, it's an approximation. I bet with the little trips of Lowe's, and over the 2 months that this took for me to do, I probably spent closer to $2,300 bucks in just little odds and ends, little adapters for the PEX tubing and the whole work. So anywhere from $2,000 to $2,300 is what it ended up costing me. Again, you could do it cheaper, but that's what it ended up costing me. Time it took me was about 2 months off and on. I didn't work on it every single week, but I was also having to research how to do everything. This is the first time I've ever done any tile work, any plumbing work, or anything like that, any waterproofing membranes, the whole 9 yards. So again, It took me a little bit longer, probably cost me a little bit more money, but it was a good learning experience overall. And there wasn't a whole bunch of information out there about building a dog shower, so I basically just looked up how to build a shower, and that's what this is. So I hope this video was enjoyable to watch. Hope it was helpful if you guys are trying to do the same exact thing. And also too, talking about the dog shower, would I recommend doing it? I highly would recommend it if you have 2 big dogs especially. We have 2 huskies, and before, when it was muddy outside after raining, or if they were digging outside, the one thing we would do is take them to the bathtub, and your lower back starts hurting after a while because you gotta like grab the dog, you know, they're wanting you to get in the shower with them, they're whining the whole time. So I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore. So we just, if they're muddy, we just literally just carry them to the laundry room, set them in the dog shower, wash their feet off, and they're good to go. I did not think I would use it that much. Ksenia wanted it because she didn't like it when we moved into this house. She didn't like the laundry room sink and vanity setup. So she saw some pictures on Instagram, I believe, and after that I was like, okay, we'll do it. And I'm really glad we did. I thought it was gonna be a waste of time and money, but it's super useful. Even if you're not even using it on the dogs, if you have something dirty, like dirty shoes, muddy shoes, you can easily just clean them off before you come inside the house. So it's a very useful thing that you can add to your house, which will also add value to your home as well too, I believe. They're getting pretty popular nowadays. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm no expert. I just wanted to share with you guys what I ended up doing, how I built my dog shower, and I hope this video can help you guys if you were interested in doing the same thing. If you liked the video, even if you didn't like the video, please like this video, subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.